Folks, the propaganda machine has been incredibly effective in turning women against their very own nature. I never would have imagined that one day there would be a time where women would see having a child as a burden or something that they look to essentially eradicate in order for them to pursue quote unquote career goals, right? And that's not to say that those things don't matter, but imagine a woman who is essentially brought into this life form to create life. Let's be real about it. I know we like to pretend like, biology doesn't exist and that human beings actually aren't here in most part to create or procreate. But these are the facts. Look at our entire anatomy. Look at why it's built the way in which it is built, right? So for a woman, even if you, let's say, don't have the capability to reproduce, you still have functions of your body that are biologically wired for that. And so to have women who are far more interested in unaliving their own children, that's just a reminder of the programming, the conditioning, the evil agenda that has women caring more about these fickle material things than the most important job that I believe any human being will ever have, including us as men, which is to raise up that next generation. So that being said, let's get into this video. And I'm going to break it down as we move forward. I haven't watched the totality of it. I just know the overall theme, and it was a discussion I wanted to get into anyway. So it's actually a discussion I'm always willing to get into. So let's go ahead and get into it.
Look at this, y'all. Black girl defending black babies, claiming the black community is overpopulated. Watch this.
To this day, right now, Planned Parenthood actually helps the black community just in regards to helping us not be overpopulated. Right? The black community is overpopulated. It is.
There have been 20 million black children aborted since 1973. Do you think that's a good or bad thing?
So the black community is still overpopulated because of our government. It is. Gang relations.
The black community is below replacement rate.
Stop talking so I can finish.
You just said that there are too many black people. How can you say that?
So I didn't say that.
You said Planned Parenthood's helping you because the black population is too over.
Okay, I gotta interject in this. I've done a full-blown breakdown of a documentary about the origins of Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood. I said what I said. And its founder, Margaret Sanger, who essentially was a eugenicist who believed that black people were inferior as well as other races outside of the quote unquote pure Aryan race. Margaret Sanger did not look to push this idea of not just contraceptives, but also of unaliving your babies to people of color because she cared so much about whether or not you had enough resources, etc. She did so because she believed you were inferior and that there should be less of you in existence. So when you're pushing this sort of ideology, what you're actually saying is Margaret was correct. The eugenicists were correct, right? The little mustache man was correct. We need less of all these people. So let's eradicate them and then let's repopulate the earth with the Aryan race. That's what that's about. That's why there are disproportionately more Planned Parenthoods within black communities. That's why a black woman, even though they're only 13%, well, less than 13, about 7% of the population in this country, yet they're responsible for 4 times as many unalivings of babies as white folks who are the majority in this country. Is that not backwards to you? Like, I understand that she thinks she's making an argument for, well, these babies aren't going to have a quality of life, blah, 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 all that sort of thing. That's a different discussion. We can get into contraceptives. Again, why are we using the unaliving of babies as contraceptive? Like, that blows my mind in and of itself. We pretend as if it's the only way. You had to open up your leg. You had to lay up. You had to slang your dang-a-lang. Like, you had to do these things. You had no other choice but to do so. And when you did it, you had to do so without protection, without any means of contraception. You had no other choice but to, possibly become pregnant and then to unalive the baby. That is nonsense. But I'm gonna let her finish as best as I can because this one, some of these. They hit a little different.
Is that what I said?
That is eugenic statement, ma'am.
Is that what you believe I said?
No, did you say the black population?
She doesn't look well mentally.
The black community is overpopulated. Yes, it is.
Statistically,
Like your narrative is
African
insane.
Americans
Your
are
narrative is
below
insane.
replacement rates. There are more abortions happening than live births.
This girl just admitted that Planned Parenthood's helped decrease our population, and she's talking about it like it's a good thing. This is Margaret Sanger, the founder of Planned Parenthood. She was a part of the eugenics movement. This movement was a group of racists who felt black people should be exterminated.
Look, I haven't watched the full video, so I didn't even know he was going to get into the breakdown. I am so glad we're going there. Preach.
I mean, look at Margaret Sanger, direct quote. "We don't want word to go out that we want to exterminate the Negro population." So they implemented laws to sterilize blacks until they figured out a subtle way to do it through birth control and abortion. Then they used reverse psychology to make black women think killing off their offspring is empowering. This is why as a Planned Parenthood,
Ooh, let's run that back. You said they did what?
psychology to make black women think killing off their offspring is empowering.
Oh, you may not be talking about the feminist movement, are you? The one that pushed this idea that obviously it was empowering for women to be promiscuous. It was empowering for women to go out there and to essentially emotionally, mentally, and physically damage themselves, as well as it's now empowering to rid themselves of their own children. Women have been turned against themselves in the same way men have been turned against themselves, and then we're turned against one another. We become enemies. The feminist movement says this: women, you must aspire to not only be like a man, but to be better than a man at being a man. So you're now at odds, right? And then the same social structure tells young men to be softer, to be weaker, to be more docile. There's conflict there. Now, again, this isn't to blame one or the other, but it is to say we have to start looking inward and to see that, wait a minute, I've been conditioned and brainwashed into these nonsense ideas. And it is our personal journey and our personal job to start to transcend those, to transform and to change the way we think, renew your mind daily, to change the way we move through life, to renew our habits, etc. But I'm going to let this man continue.
This is why it's a Planned Parenthood in every black community. And why they also market perms and things of that nature that leads to fibroids and hysterectomies. Because the goal is to attack black life. And if you could persuade those very people that you're trying to exterminate that exterminating them is a good thing, then the war doesn't have to be physical. It could be purely psychological. Y'all be safe out here.
That's a bar right there. It is a psychological war. That's why I do what I do. And again, this is my gifting. This is, I believe, what I'm sent to do. And some say, well, but you don't give solutions. Yeah, there's always one solution, ultimately, which is the ability to think, to act, and essentially to dictate your own emotions, or as far as if you're going to let your emotions rule you or you rule over your emotions, right? You choose the actions that you take or do not take, the things you do or do not do, the thoughts that you engage and entertain, and those that you essentially displace. So that being said, ultimately, it is a psychological renewal. It is to bring ideas into the light, to challenge those ideas, and therefore to renew those ideas. Those then become beliefs, and your beliefs then become your actions become your habits and patterns. Those habits and patterns become your character. Your character becomes your identity. That's how we transform from the inside out. And so that's why I do what I do. That's why, a brother like this is doing what he does. Information is the first cause. It's the baseline. Everything you do is on the basis of the ideas that you believe or you receive and those that you discard or do not believe. Simple as that. So that's why I also speak on racism. If you continue to hold on to this idea of racism and it's stopping you, you're creating your own barrier. You're creating your own boundary. You can't go any further than what you've created for yourself. Oh man, well, black man can't get ahead. Black man can't get ahead. You rehearse that, and therefore your world is going to affirm that for you. Your actions are going to reinforce that. Your beliefs are going to be more rooted in that continued repeated statement. And I'll be damned if I allow anybody else or anything else to control or have control over me. I'll be damned. So yes, there is a deep conditioning and a programming in women in general now to say that this doesn't matter, when in truth, it's one of the core reasons you have been brought into this life form. And unfortunately, like he's saying, there has been attack on the womb. The pill, things of that nature, we're now seeing the long-term effects of them. We're now seeing infertility rates higher than any time in history. This isn't coincidental. That's why we have to take absolute and ultimate control over our own personal lives. When you blame, you point the finger outward, you dissolve yourself of power as much as anything else. So, appreciate y'all for tuning in. Till the next time, peace. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Now, if you'd like to stay around, make sure to click that little subscribe button down there, or you can show some love by going to the description below and clicking on the button titled Buy Me a Coffee. Leave a little something there, or click on the Cash App. Leave a little something here. Till the next time, peace.
I fell in love with the sunshine. I fell in love with the light. I fell in love with the full moon. I fell in love with the night. I can see the light again. I can see the light. You can see the life in him illuminate the night. I know the time is taking. A 3-6-5, that's a full rotation. I see you looking up, you know them constellations. Constantly gazing like house of praises, you get to praising.